just get right to it, Coach.
Sure.
Thank you for joining us. We look forward to having you here. How are you and your team feeling about your VRBO Citrus Bowl trip coming up here?
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, first of all, we're just really excited to have this opportunity. I'm one of the few people on our staff that we still together or not? Okay.
Should be.
Hopefully, you get me. You hear me? Okay.
You with me? I just people
Okay.
don't want my face on
I
the
got you.
screen.
Okay. No, just I'm one of the few people around here, I guess, that remember the trip. It was just such a great experience for everybody involved with our party. Most of our team, obviously, but everybody there had a great time in Orlando. You guys do a wonderful job hosting an event, so we're just thrilled to be back there. It's been quite a while. And then also, beyond that, the opportunity to play against a team like Kentucky, an outstanding SEC program, and Mark Stoops has just done an unbelievable job with that program for quite some time now. So we do have some connectivity between the Stoops family. Bob Stoops, who played here, was a senior in '82. Is going in the College Football Hall of Fame this next week, actually. Was with us last night. He was doing the game. And then Mike had a tremendous career here as well. And then Mark was the last one to play here. And he and I were, as I was leaving here in '89, that was Mark's end of his career. And all three Stoops is just tremendous players, all three of them outstanding coaches. And Mark's done just a phenomenal job with the program there. So a little personal aspect to it, but it's going to be a great thrill for us to have a chance to compete against their football team. We'll have our hands full, I'm sure of that. We as a team are certainly anxious to get back on the field. I don't know that we're going to be ready right now, obviously, but had a tough game last night and played an outstanding opponent and just didn't play well enough in really any of the three areas to expect to win that football game. But I know our team's excited about getting back to it. Have an opportunity to play in a great bowl game is just a great thrill. We talk to our guys all the time about handling adversity, and that'll be the task in this coming month for us. First and foremost, I think our players right now just need some rest, not only physically but also emotionally and just mentally get away from things a little bit. So we'll try to be very mindful about that. They're going to finish up their school work. This is our last week of class, and they'll be in finals next week, and then we'll transition into our game prep. But I can just tell you, we're really excited about this opportunity, thrilled to be coming to Orlando, and really looking forward to the challenges at hand. And I'll throw it out for questions.
All right, Coach, we'll take our first question from Matt Rochelle, the Orlando Sentinel. Matt, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Kirk, I want to ask, you mentioned the Stoops is obviously having a connection with Iowa, and you mentioned Mark's time there. What do you recall of his time as a player, and did you think at the time, I know you weren't his position coach, but what did you think of him as a player, and do you ever think that maybe he didn't wind up being a head coach someday?
I don't know about head coach, but coaching, I think he probably had no choice. It seems to be in the Stoops blood. All the boys are coaches. The oldest one, Ron, was a high school coach in Ohio. And then Bob came, and Mike, and then certainly Mark. It's just a great family, and their dad, Ron Sr., was a tremendous high school football coach also. So I remember distinctly when I got here, watching Bob Stoops play, there was no question in my mind he was going to be one of those guys that would go into coaching. It's just how he played. He played smart. He was really tough-minded, but also played really smart and was very much into the mental aspect of the game. And it's funny with Mark, one of my first memories, our coordinator during the 80s was a guy named Bill Brazier. Bill's one of the best people and best coaches I've ever worked with, and I think if you asked any of the Stoopses, they'd tell you the same. I'll never forget when Mark was in on his visit, and I walked by his office, Bill's office, and he was talking to Mark. And then later on, we had a staff meeting after the recruiting weekend, and Bill made the comment. He goes, if this wasn't a Stoops, I would have sworn, like this, there's no way this guy's going to be a college football player. And his point was that Mark at that time probably looked like he was 15, just a really young-looking high school senior. And but Coach Fry, had his mind made up on that one already, and certainly it panned out. All three of the boys had tremendous careers here, not just good careers, but tremendous careers. So, not surprised at all. And Mark's done a wonderful job there with Kentucky's program.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our next question from John Hale, the Courier-Journal in Louisville. John, go ahead when you're ready.
Speaking of that, Coach, what do you remember about Mark as a player? I know you were on the offensive side of the ball. He was a defensive player at the time, but what do you remember stood out? Some memories about his playing style?
Yeah, I mean, the guy that I know the best and have the deepest relationship would be Bob, because Bob played here in '82 and then stayed on as a grad assistant, and then was what they used to call volunteer assistants. So Bob was here for several years after his playing career, and so I got to know him as a player, then also on a professional level, and we had a lot of fun together. But the thing I would say, all three of them, they were cut from the same cloth. They wore the same number, 41, and it's cut from the same cloth. They just looked at football a little differently than most college players do. And again, I think it was in the blood. I think that's something they grew up with. They were also very good house painters on the side. They did that in the summertime with their dad. But they're a football family. Mark gets along with people outstanding. He's a great teammate, great leader on our football team. And again, just his approach to football is probably a little different than the average guys.
All right, up next, we'll take a question from Joshua Moore of the Lexington Herald-Journal, who confused me at first by raising his hand and having the same name as our IT guy. But now that I know that it's the right guy, Josh, go ahead and ask your question.
Kirk, you talking about Stoops' approach with a lot of people kind of, for a while at least, have described his team at Kentucky, the way he's built the program, sort of compare them a lot to a Big Ten team. Do you see that in this? And kind of, I know you're playing a lot on Saturdays, but from what you've seen of Kentucky just over the years, I guess how would you evaluate what they've done?
Yeah, I got to be brutally honest. Outside of Big Ten football, I don't know how much I've seen of a lot of other teams to comment in that regard. I'll know a lot more here in about 3 weeks, but just knowing the way Mark approaches things and looking from afar, my sense is he started out by building a great foundation and wasn't trying to do a quick fix. And I personally think that's the way to go about it. You're trying to build something that's going to last. It seems like and appears from a distance he's had great support from the administration. I've had friends actually a friend that worked at Kentucky probably about 18 years ago, somewhere in that ballpark. But it sounded like the administration was really committed to getting a good, solid football program built, and they certainly selected the right person with Mark. And you think about the experience with his two brothers. Great people to pick their brains and get advice from, and just have tremendous respect and admiration for all three of the guys. They're just outstanding people and outstanding coaches, and Mark's done just a wonderful job building that thing, like I said, brick by brick.
Coach, we'll take our next question from Chad Lystico from the Des Moines Register. Chad, go ahead when you're ready.
Sure. I hope you can hear me. I'm pulled over at a gas station here, but
Loud and clear.
Two quick ones. Do you know any more about the severity of Spencer's injury and whether that might impact his status for the game?
Yeah, he had a tough night last night, just discomfort. And as far as I understand right now, there's really nothing's in danger, no organs, anything like that. But he took a pretty good shot, and it wasn't to the head, but he took a shot or at least strained some stuff in his abdominal areas. So he's going to be fine, but he's in discomfort here and probably will be for a while.
Gotcha. And then the Holiday Bowl is such a short prep 2 years ago, and then you lost your prep last year for both. So do you envision trying to emphasize, I don't know, like development in this period at all? But now you've also got a little bit of a shorter window at the championship. I guess just how do you view that?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, Chad. And I can't tell you why, but a couple of weeks ago I was thinking about 2015. I was thinking about our bowl prep that year. And I would still contend, I can't document this or prove it, but I really think probably both teams that played in that game in 15 probably went into their next games a little tired, and neither of us had good results. So again, I can't tell you why I was thinking about that a couple of weeks ago, because I don't think anybody would have predicted we'd be in Indy, but I made a mental note of that, of just really being careful where our guys at, probably emotionally as much as physically. And so with that in mind, as I'd love to do a lot of developmental work, but I just don't know if that's in our best interest. And I think we'll look at it. I've kind of been just giving it some general thoughts, but we'll start fine detailing it this week. And we'll work our younger guys, but I want to really be mindful of our guys that have been playing, because they've really spent everything they've got. I think for us to get 10 wins, it took everything, and just can't say how appreciative I am of all of our players' commitment, their dedication, the efforts that they've put out. And I think it's only fitting for this team to have, another performance where they go out and play their best. So that'll be the goal, and we'll try to be mindful, and maybe here in a week or two I'll have a little better idea what we're going to do.
Coach, we'll take our next question from John Stepp of the Gazette. John, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Hi, Kirk. Do you
Hey, John.
expect any players to opt out in terms of going to NFL, or is that something that isn't quite a conversation yet?
We'll start having those conversations this week. We had just kind of touched base with some guys back during our bye week, but really there's really no sense of urgency for anybody right now. It doesn't mean they won't do it, but really the players don't have to make any formal decisions till mid-January. So they've got plenty of time to think about things. And ultimately, you just want players to do what's in their best interest. And one thing I'd love to have all of our guys back, quite frankly. But I also know too, you don't want somebody to stay if their heart's not in it. That's just not good for either party. So we'll start having those conversations, and I'm hopeful that we don't have any of that kind of transition. But in the world we live in today, that seems to be a trend. So we'll just see how it all plays out.
Coach, we'll take our next one from Scott Docterman of The Athletic. Scott, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Yeah, Kirk, I hope you're doing well.
Yes,
I want to ask about kind of the next 10-day block. Is probably recruiting, I'm sure, is probably the top of the list by far and away for you and your staff. But kind of how are you splitting your time? And what are your players, how much time do they get off? Are they just kind of going to go and basically stretch and run around for a few days and that's it? Or what's kind of the schedule for the next week to 10 days?
Yeah, they're off till Tuesday morning. We'll bring them in and just have a brief meeting and just like a light workout, just to stretch and move around a little bit like they would on a Sunday. And then they'll get 2 lifts in this week, and then we'll do some light work over the weekend. And then next week we're in finals. So really these next 2 weeks, this week by design and next week by necessity, we'll really try to rest the guys as much as we can physically. And then we'll turn in earnest to the game planning. And then for our staff, we're a week behind in terms of travel, and believe me, we'd rather have been a week behind. We'd never make that trade. So we'll be moving around today or tomorrow and getting where we got to get and doing what we have to do. And then we host a handful of recruits this coming weekend, or maybe 2 handfuls. So that takes us through next Sunday. We'll finish that up. Guys will start their finals, and we'll really start digging deep into game preparation probably next Monday.
Coach, our next one will come from Jeff Drummond of Rivals. Jeff, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Oh, hi, Kirk. Thank you for taking out some time with us today.
My pleasure.
You mentioned earlier you hadn't really looked a great deal at Kentucky yet, but the quarterback, Will Levis, is a guy that played in the Big Ten. I was wondering, had you had a matchup with him or seen anything of him on tape from his time at Penn State?
Yeah, I can tell you what we think of Will. I think this is correct. I think we were the first Power 5 school to offer him. So we offered him, a couple Junes ago. He came out and came to camp. It was a guy our quarterback coach, Ken O'Keefe, really liked. Came to camp, and there was no question in our mind he was going to be a really good college football player. Unfortunately, another school came in. It was a little bit more prestigious than us a couple weeks later, and that was the end of that relationship. But yeah, we did get to see him last year a little bit. Will's a tremendous football player, and I know he's done a great job. Again, I haven't seen film, but I've just kind of follow reading articles, that type of thing, and I know he's done a great job for Kentucky, and I'm not surprised. He's a first-class young man.
If anybody else has any questions for Coach Ferentz, you can use the raise hand function. We'll call on you. If not, we've got I believe a couple players joining us, but we'll stand by for them. It looks like we have a new question from John Stepp. John, go ahead when you're ready.
Does this game have added kind of excitement when you didn't have a bowl game to play in 2020 after the Music City Bowl got canceled?
Yeah, as all of us know, John, last year was such a just an unusual year, right? I mean, a lot of weird things, and to get the bowl game canceled, I think that was on a Sunday. Does that sound right? I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but we were a couple days into preparation, and then the plug got pulled on it. Last year was just a season of strangeness in a lot of regards. So every step of the way this year to operate in semi-normalcy, starting with even our training, weight training with, just having a normal routine that way and having a normal spring practice, a pretty normal summer. So it's all been good. And then, now to have a bowl opportunity, it's really exciting. And, I'm just so proud of our team, the way they've played this year, what they've been able to do and how they've maximized their ability. So to play in a bowl like the Citrus Bowl, it's such a great reward for our players, and really happy. And again, I it's been almost 20 years since I've been there, but I can just say from that experience, it was first class. So I'm just so pleased for our players, and really happy for them for this opportunity.
Coach, we'll take one from Rick Brown of SI, and then we'll go back to Scott Dockman after that.
Okay.
Rick, you can go ahead when you're ready. All right, we will move on to Scott. We'll come back to Rick when we can get him properly unmuted. Scott, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I wanted to ask kind of about their mental outlook, because I remember in 2015 after the tough loss, and then you got to go to the Rose Bowl, and the players themselves still seemed really down because of the result, and understandably so. Yeah. What are you trying to do to get them not to worry about Kentucky and the Citrus Bowl and just worry about going and being a human being for a couple of days? How do you kind of manage that and massage that so they can get back in the frame of mind to play football in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to. And again, I can't tell you why I was thinking about that 3 weeks ago or whenever it was. I guess I was starting to pull some stuff together, just, in general prep thoughts. But that was one clear takeaway from 15. We weren't where we needed to be mentally or emotionally in that ball game. I'm not so sure as much physically, but I think mentally and emotionally. So, we got to do a better job as coaches. And, that being said, at that point, we don't know how last night was going to go. Obviously, it was a disappointing night for us. But the good news is right now, I think we'll put a good plan together. More importantly, we got a group that's already proved this year how resilient they are. And they've gotten back up off the turf couple times already this year. I have full confidence they'll do it again. We got great leadership on this football team, really exceptional young guys, and hopefully we'll do our part. I know they'll do their part, so it's going to be a team effort for sure.
I want to go back to Rick Brown. Rick, did you have a question for us? All right, if that's the case, we don't have any hands up at the moment. We'll do a last call for questions for Coach, and then we'll take a short break. And I believe we're supposed to have Tyler Linderbaum and Dane Belton joining us a little bit later. But if there are any final questions for Coach, we'll take them now. All right, Coach, we appreciate the time. We'll look forward to seeing you down here in Orlando again in a couple weeks, and hopefully the weather will be warm for you.
It'll be warmer than here. I know that, Sam. So we look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks again. And I know Dane just walked in, so we'll get him up here shortly.
Orlando?
Definitely. Being able to go home, close to home, is a good opportunity. So, I feel like we got a good bowl. It's based on how good our season was. And, we had the opportunity to go to a better bowl, but, I feel like this is a great opportunity for our team.
If you have any questions for Dane, you can raise your hand. Dane, when you were at Jesuit, did you ever have an opportunity to play a championship game at Camping World Stadium?
I didn't. We went to the semifinal 3 times out of my 4 years there, and we didn't quite get that far. But actually right now they just won 2 nights ago, so they'll be going to the state championship. I know it's not there anymore, but it's good for my high school for sure.
Got a couple questions now. We'll take our first one from John Hale, the Courier Journal. John, when you're ready, you can unmute.
Hey, Dane, I'm wondering if you remember much about facing Wandale Robinson, Kentucky's top receiver, when he was at Nebraska. Obviously, he did a lot of different things for them, but what do you remember about him as a player?
Oh, definitely. He was very elusive. They gave him a lot of jets, quick passes. He get up in open space and make something happen. So, he's a great player, and that's probably what I remember most from him is just, we have to be good at tackling, at coverage and, all the above. So.
All right, we'll take our next question from John Stepp. John, go ahead when you're ready.
Hi, Dean. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good, thanks. How do you kind of mentally adjust from having a disappointing loss yesterday to having still one more game to play for this season?
I feel like it's it's what you have to do. As football player, you have a short term memory. We have a 24-hour rule, or you look back on the game, you evaluate yourself, evaluate how we played, and then after that we move on. And I feel like right now we're in the 24-hour rule, but once that's over, we're looking forward to our next opportunity, and we have a great opportunity coming up. Finish out the season as this group of guys. Last game we'll ever play together, and I feel like that's what we do. We'll go hit the practice field and just get back to working.
Dan, our next question will come from Scott Dockman of The Athletic. Scott, go ahead when you're ready.
Yeah, Dane, I guess, have you had a chance to look back at last night's video yet, or are you guys just kind of moving on for a few days just to not worry about football specifically right now?
We get a couple of days off as a team, to just regroup, recover, and get back. But I've looked at the film, by myself, and I know a lot of other players have as well. But we haven't watched it together as a team.
And on a side note, I wanted to ask you about just getting back to Florida. You guys had a bowl game canceled in Tennessee last year. Your first year, you played in California, but now getting probably 2 hours from home, something like that. I mean, how does that make you feel? And are you already getting hit up for ticket requests?
It's a great opportunity. Being able to play anywhere close to home. It's like an hour and a half in Orlando, so very close. And I definitely have been getting hit up. My mom talked to me about it this morning, right when she landed back home from Indiana, and she was just talking about we'll have a lot of people trying to come, so be ready for that, and we'll handle that when the time comes. But for now, they just told me to recover and just relax. But it's definitely a great opportunity to be anywhere close to home, have a lot of family come to the games, especially being so far away from home, in Iowa. Just being close and being able to play close is great.
All right, we'll take our next question from Thomas Caker. Tom, go ahead when you're ready.
Hey, Dane. I wanted to ask you, as a third-year player, junior, you could explore the NFL option, at least, get the feedback. Is that something that you're going to do here in the coming weeks, and how are you approaching that if you are?
To be honest, I haven't really given that much thought. I just was focused on the season, and I think if I have the opportunity to see the evaluation, I might explore that. It can't hurt, but at the end of the day, my focus is on this last game we have together as a team. That's just what I'm thinking right now. So that time will come. There's a time and place for everything, and I feel like right now we have a great opportunity at our hands, and to capitalize on that is what my mind is on.
All right, now we've got Chad Lystico. Chad, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Sure. Yeah, I remember, Dane, you came down to Tampa, right, to watch a bowl practice back when you were a senior in high school. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Of course, Iowa was playing an SEC team then. You have never played an SEC team. Is that something that gives you a little excitement, I guess, going into this game?
It gives a little excitement, but at the end of the day, whoever we play, is going to be a good competition and, a good opportunity. So, it could be SEC, Big 10, or Big 12, or Pac-12, or anybody. I feel like the bowl game we're in is a great bowl, and, we're going to have a great competition no matter who it is. And it being an SEC team, Kentucky, that's a great team as well. So, we'll have to bring our A game. We'll have to prepare and, be ready regardless. But I definitely think it's a good opportunity.
And then you played Will Levis last year at Penn State. What do you remember about that preparation, and what type of player was he? You guys seem to do pretty well against him.
He was a tough guy. They used him in the run game a lot. Little scheme plays and things like that. So we'll have to be ready for that. He commands the offense well. He can toss the ball around a little bit, and he runs, so it adds extra blocker in. So we'll have to be physical. Like we pride ourselves on, and just go from there. I feel like we might incorporate a lot of things that we did against him in Penn State, but also he has a new coordinator, so we have to do some new things as well. But overall, he's a great player.
If you have any final questions for Dane, let us know by using the raise hand button, and if not, we'll have Tyler up here shortly. Got one more from John Stepp. John, go ahead.
Is there an added meaning to getting to play in a bowl game that, after not having a game in 2020, is there kind of an added meaning more than what Citrus Bowl would otherwise mean to you?
I wouldn't say, added meaning. I feel like anytime we had the opportunity to go to a bowl game, it's just a reflection on how we played during the season. So, we have good competition and, we'll be ready as a team. So, it kind of is, just not being able to go to a bowl last year. You see the banner up there in our indoor and it doesn't say champions, even though, we didn't get to play in it. So it's like, we want to go out here this year and definitely get a banner that says champions on it so we can see that, as that extra motivation. But, I feel like we're gonna come out and give our all. It's our last opportunity together, and just to play one more game is all it is. So I feel like we'll be ready.
All right, we don't have any questions left for Dane, so with that we will break, and I believe we've got Tyler Linderbaum standing by in the wings waiting for us.
Thank you, guys.
All right, looks like Tyler Linderbaum's joined us, Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year. I read Dane off my screen. Tyler, thank you for joining us, and appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
If we have any questions for Tyler, raise your hand. We'll follow the same procedure as before. We'll start with Scott Dockman, the Athletic. And Scott, go ahead when you're ready.
Yeah, Tyler, I wanted to ask you just kind of about what's the next week to 10 days going to be like for you, because I think you're probably going to have to go to a couple of banquets around the country. And how are you going to be able to kind of rest yourself body-wise just to just get yourself back to kind of normal after a long football season so far?
Yeah, we'll have a few days off here with the team, getting some time to rest our bodies. Obviously I'm heading to a banquet this week for the Lombardi Trophy, which I'm looking forward to. It's going to be a cool experience. But yeah, this time's kind of to let your body rest, let your mind rest, and then obviously we're in a great bowl game. And I know the team's excited for that to try to get our 11th win of the year.
Take our next question from Chad Lysico, the Des Moines Register. Chad, go ahead when you're ready.
Hey, Tyler, I take it by your presence you're not opting out of the game?
Yeah. Dumb question, Chad.
I know. Just wanted to get it on the record. But I guess how much do you want to get back out there? Given what last night, we didn't get to talk to you last night, but I'm sure that was pretty frustrating for you.
Yeah, it was tough experience, to obviously get the opportunity to play in the Big Ten Bowl, Big Ten championship game, and then, obviously we didn't perform the way we wanted to perform, but, you got to move on, take these 2 days, rest your mind, rest your body, recover. And then, we got an opportunity to play in a great bowl against a great Kentucky team and try to get our 11th win of this season. I think, that's going to be our big focus moving on.
We'll take one from Larry Vaught. Vaught, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Tyler, just wondered, do you know anything at all about Kentucky? Have you watched them play just occasionally or anything this season at all?
I remember watching a few games, just if we're waiting in the hotel, watching some clips of them. Obviously, it's a great team. I know they got some good defensive players, but obviously I haven't watched enough to tell you about their whole scheme and whatnot. But, obviously they're in the SEC. I think they maybe finished second behind Georgia in their conference, which is pretty impressive. So, we're going to have to be ready to go. It's going to be a great team, great competition, and, we're going to be excited for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Carl, our next question will come from Kennington Smith. Kennington, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Hey, Tyler, appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. You've noted the 11th win a few times while you've been up there. 10 wins obviously was a huge accomplishment for this program, but to get that 11th win and kind of enter another step of rarefied air, what would that mean to this team considering everything that y'all have been through this year?
Yeah, it's going to be mean a lot. But, it's not going to be easy, that's for sure. Obviously 10-4 sounds, or 11-3 sounds a lot better than 10-4. So, that's going to be our goal. It doesn't happen often around here, 11 wins in this program. And our team's been through a lot this year. So, to get that 11th win, it's going to mean a lot to us. And, we're going to have to work hard, prepare our butts off for this game.
Take our next question from Tom Taker, the Hawkeye Report. Tom, you can go ahead.
Hey, Tyler, I know you're you're real close with Spencer. How frustrating was that for him last night that he gets hurt again and has to come out of the game?
Yeah, I think he's pretty frustrated, but I think just like the whole team, it was a rough night last night for us. Just poor execution all the way around. We had some opportunities to put some points up on the board and get in the end zone, and we couldn't execute. And Spencer's a guy, he's trying to give everything for his team. Obviously, it sucks that he's getting injured, but that also falls back on us. We got to protect him better and stuff like that. But it's a game of football. It's a physical game. Stuff like that happens, and it's kind of the next man in mentality.
Take our next question from John Stepp. John, go ahead when you're ready.
Hey Tyler, I know you haven't met as a team, but have you individually looked at the film from yesterday's game, or are you just trying to get that behind you?
No, I haven't looked at it yet. I've been sleeping. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I've been sleeping today. I'll probably take a look at it tonight. But I can already anticipate what it's going to look like. Not a lot of good things on the film, a lot to learn from, but and it's just stuff you can learn from going into this Kentucky game, and we're gonna have to move forward with it.
Take our next one from Chad Lystico, and then Scott Document after that. Chad, go ahead.
Yeah, Tyler, Kirk mentioned he felt like you guys expended a lot of emotion and energy into this season. I guess how would you characterize that, and what do you kind of feel like you need a little bit of a mental break? That's what he kind of referenced.
Yeah, absolutely. I think guys have given it their all this season. Obviously, Big Ten West champs. That doesn't come easy. We've been through a lot of tough, hard-fought games, especially in that month of November. Every game coming down to the wire, and then obviously, we played against a great Michigan team. So it kind of hurt. It hurts a lot. Not being able to win in Indy, but now a couple days off is gonna feel nice mentally and physically, and then it'll be time to move on.
All right, we'll take Scott's question next. Scott Document, and unmute when you're ready.
Yeah, Tyler, I wanted to kind of ask you a couple things. One is, this is a big month for you. You graduate from college. That's a pretty big deal. Kind of your thoughts on that. And then secondly, after you graduate, are you looking for a job? Or are you how are you going to evaluate the next few weeks? Because your name's getting linked to a lot of NFL clubs already.
Yeah. First off, graduating from University of Iowa, that's important to me. Getting a degree from here. I've had a lot of people help me along the way to get that accomplished in 3.5 years. And also I'm not really, looking too far ahead. When the time comes, the time will come. I'm just more focused on our game coming up. And, I'll talk to the right people, get some insight on, from the coaches, family members, and, people close to me. And then when that decision has to be made, it'll be made. And, yeah, and we'll worry about that later, so.
Thank you.
Take one last call for questions. If you have a question, put your hand up and we'll call on you. So we've got one from Colin Kale of Iowa 5 News. Colin, go ahead when you're ready.
Hey, Tyler, wondering, you've been through a couple of these bowls, just these 15 practices that you guys get as a team. I mean, how, obviously you're an older guy, how do you kind of use them, and of these extra 15 bowl practices, obviously developing for the game, but further on afterwards?
Yeah, I think this bowl prep is huge. I remember all my practices, especially from a younger guy's perspective, we get a lot of younger guys who get a lot of work in. Also it's time to get better, work on your craft fundamentals and stuff like that. So, it's not as hard as a fall camp, but it definitely has a fall camp mentality to it, to where you just focus on Iowa football getting better. And I think this has a lot of good things to it. Just 15 practices, a lot of practices to improve your craft.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take one last call for questions. If not, we'll let Tyler go. If you have your question, put your hand up, and going once, going twice.